When the sun comes up on America, across open fields, small towns, and city streets, a new day begins. And here, we rise with it. This is where hard work meets headlines, where truth matters, and America wakes up informed.
An interesting week.
They all are.
This is your country. This is your morning. This is Daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. America, let's do it together.
Love you, Ivy.
Love you too.
And it starts right now.
Let's jump right into it, shall we, as we get rolling into a brand new day. Glad to see you here. Fighting for you from the Foxhole Freedom. 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number 1, flock cameras. They're sprouting like flowers in the spring, but the company claims those cameras that are following everyone are not really tracking anyone. Yeah, I'm calling BS on that. Number 2, with the Iran peace deal in its first couple of days and the Strait of Hormuz reopening, the price of oil is collapsing on the world stage. $75 today, gasoline following suit. How low will it go? That is the question. And number 3, look, I'm sick and tired of listening to ignorant, wealthy liberals and their robots trash America every single day. So today, I'm going to do something about it. It's time for a pick-me-up. A story that's making headlines all over the world, and that is America the Beautiful. As seen through the eyes of millions of FIFA fans who have come to our country, our great country, for the first time to see what it's like. America is a great country, but you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to the more than 10 million people who are in awe of a place that we might be tempted to take for granted every day. Here's a sample.
Bible verses on the bottom of their cup. Never.
I just feel like you're so lucky to live here.
Everything in the US simply beats anything I've ever experienced anywhere in the world.
God bless America.
This place is freaking awesome. You can't make this up. This is too wonderful. All glory goes to God for preserving this wonderful country.
Yeah, now, regardless of who wins the final match in the World Cup, America is the real winner in my book at the end of all of this. Because if any of these people simply listen to the news, whether here or abroad, they'd hate us. But because they actually came and saw for themselves, they love it. They love it. Many of them go so far as to call us the greatest country ever. Which is a phrase that the people over at The View and MSNBC say is a right-wing dog whistle. Really. Even CNN forced to cover the story because it's just that big. And the German tourist that they had on admits that international media has sold them a lie on what America is and isn't. Listen to this guy.
Another German soccer fan, Freddie, has also been going viral on X. He posted this photo of a custom Welcome Freddie banner with the German flag added to Louisiana's state welcome sign. What do you make of all the viral content coming out of this tournament and all the love for the European tourists from the American people as you show us our country with fresh eyes?
Yeah, I mean, I know Freddie. He's a nice guy. He's from like close to me, so I've been talking to him. He's loving it. He's more touring the South. I did Chicago, and I think it's more like because in Europe we have a lot of rather negative news about the Americans in the last 5 years, let's say that. And I think we are all enjoying like the fact that this country is so great to visit. The people are amazing, so welcoming. The culture is amazing. It's like Europeans are getting a new view of America right now, I think, through our content, and that's cool, I think.
Oh, it's cool, all right. Europeans aren't big fans of Americans. You've probably heard that. And they make sure that many Americans know it who visit their countries. Yet, as you can see, Americans have been more than welcoming to all these tourists who are visiting us. And I think that's just part of what's blowing these visitors' minds. Interactions with normal, regular folks at run-of-the-mill locations like Buc-ee's and Waffle House and Costco. Well, they're selling Europeans on the American dream. This British comedian says he is overjoyed to see it. Here it is.
One thing I'm loving about the World Cup is seeing everyday American people finally get their moment in the spotlight. Seeing the way you've welcomed the Scots in Boston, the Algerian folks in Kansas, the Dutch in Texas, it's just been beautiful. Seeing all this all over my For You page and in the international press has been just honestly such a breath of fresh air, because for once, just once, the lead story isn't intentionally divisive politics or celebrities or some manufactured rage bait on the internet. It's just everyday American people being themselves, kind, welcoming, and yeah, a little confused at our food choices. These are the real people, like the people who are actually the fabric of the country.
Yeah, a little confused with the food choice, I'll give you that. That's right, by the way. The fabric of this country is beautiful, even though some of our leaders can't see it. Democrats use their campaign platforms and media hits to blast America as a cursed and evil place. But this month, right now, is proving that they're just a bunch of bitter pundits who think that hate sells. And when these two Democrat lawmakers were asked who they're rooting for in the World Cup, they couldn't even bother to support the American team that they're paid to represent. Listen to this.
World Cup is here. The first match this weekend at MetLife Stadium taking place in New Jersey, even though some people say it is technically New York. But what do you think will win it all? Who are you rooting for?
I like Mexico.
Mexico, there you go.
I'm rooting for Senegal.
Senegal, okay.
Yeah. So sad, but so on par for the left. They have no appreciation for this country, none. Meanwhile, Europeans can't get enough. This British guy says he'll do whatever it takes to be part of the greatest nation on earth.
I'll tell you what, yeah? I pledge allegiance. I do. What piece of paper do I need to sign on? I want in on America more than I've ever wanted in on anything in my life. You see that plane there? If it's going to America, I'm going to jump up, I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to come. I can't do this country anymore. I can't do the UK. It feels like we're in a tiny little cage, a restricted cage, with nothing fun to do at all. Now that I've experienced America, it's ruined my perception on everywhere else in the world. What do I need to do? I will get the American flag tattooed on my body. Anywhere, you pick. Let me in. Shauna! I'm going to get her up the duff. We're going to raise our family in America. It's going to be beautiful. Just let me know what I need to do to get in.
Well, come on in, brother. The water's nice. The left and European media love to paint Americans as xenophobic, redneck hillbillies who hate outsiders. Yeah, okay. But it's just not true. We just want people here who love the country. Pretty simple, isn't it? We want people here that don't plan on defrauding and harming our citizens. Pretty simple. Someone who recognizes that this country is special, wants to protect what makes us special, he can make a home here anytime. That guy, he can stay at my place. The left wants us to accept people who come here, take advantage of our people, and never assimilate and never plan to. And they expect us to be okay with that and act like that's normal when it's not. When it takes these guys less than a week to join in on every American experience there is. I want to share something with you after the break. It's just fun. These people love America. Not as much as I do, because I pretty well love this place. What a country. What a great and wonderful country. And I am glad that 10 million ambassadors are going to take that message back all over the world when this is all said and done. More with the Scots and Germans after this. All right, let me jump right back into it because the people from Scotland seem to be having a great time, as do the Germans, as do everyone. Take these Scots and Germans who have been having the time of their lives. Watch this one. Yeah, you get it. They may not know all the words, but you know what? They want to, and they're doing it with joy in their hearts. All this tells me is that it's not hard to enjoy living here, and it's not hard to be part of our culture. Our culture is something to be proud of. It's something that anyone can share in, and it's something we should expect anyone who lives here to appreciate. Here's a French guy's experience. All it took was a Texas barbecue and a trip to Costco to convince him America's the greatest place in the world. It's the 1-2 punch. Here it is.
Mesdames et messieurs, we need to talk about l'Amérique. As French, we need to stop saying Vive la France and start saying Vive l'Amérique. This place is incroyable. C'est incroyable. I just had Texas barbecue for the first time in my life. Poof. Better than any moment in my life. And I am married and have 2 kids. Oh, but in France you have des crêpes, les petits pains au chocolat, les croissants. No, I give my left croissant for a Texas brisket. Don't even get me started on Costco. Costco is bigger than my village, where I live. Whatever you want at Costco, it's there. You just show up and you could buy your whole life there. We need to start a revolution.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? By the way, Texas brisket will do that to you. In all seriousness, I hope Europeans do go back home and start a revolution of sorts. I hope that every single one of these people takes this experience with them, wherever they travel, and demands better of their own countries. Demands that freedom be valued, that excellence be pursued, that their culture be preserved. They deserve to be preserved. Europe has bought into the globalist lie that patriotism and pride of country is something to be squashed, to be ashamed of. That success should be sacrificed in the name of a level playing field for everyone, regardless of contribution or where they come from or where they want to set your country on fire. Hopefully, all of these Europeans will go home and reclaim their homeland for what it once was. And I hope that we, you and me, Americans, will have a newfound gratitude for our own homeland. We've been warning for decades that our country is slipping toward a globalist dystopia, and we should continue issuing that warning. But seeing our nation through the eyes of these awestruck tourists, these smiling, raving tourists, encourages me that there's something great left here. Things like freedom, abundance, beauty, and even things like free ice water and refillable drinks, according to this British tourist. Listen to this one.
How friendly Americans are. Like in America, it's normal. You guys are used to that. In the UK, people are miserable. They don't want to have a conversation. So when I went to America and everybody was chatting to me and being so friendly, it took me, like it overwhelmed me a little bit, but in the best way possible. Number 3, the food portions. Americans don't mess around when it comes to food portions. And you guys are used to it, but in the UK, we're used to like tiny little food portions, which don't fill me up, makes me upset. Number 4, ice water everywhere. There's ice everywhere. Everybody loves ice. And it's just amazing. Why don't we have this in the UK? Refillable drinks is another one. We need more refillable drinks in the UK. I love going to a gas station, getting a litre of ice filled with Coke Zero. Like, it's nothing better. Americans, you guys think this is normal, but for people in the UK, it's crazy.
Not crazy. You know, when a tourist is mind blown by a gas station experience, that's when you really, truly have something to be grateful for. In the end, this World Cup has already delivered far more than goals and glory. It has given the world an unfiltered look at America, the real America, through fresh eyes, and the verdict is clear. We are still the shining city on a hill with free refills. Millions have arrived expecting the caricature peddled by international media and domestic critics, only to discover a land of abundance, warmth, opportunity, and unapologetic joy. From Brucey's smiles to Texas brisket, from stadium chants to everyday kindness, visitors have tasted the American dream and found they like it. This moment should humble us, even as it fills us with pride. While some of our leaders hesitate to cheer for their country, strangers from across the world are waving our flag and singing our songs. Their awe reminds us of what we're risk of losing if we allow cynicism, self-loathing, and open borders without assimilation to define us. Let us be clear. This is our wake-up moment. Americans should recommit to cherishing this exceptional nation, defending our culture, and welcoming those who come in good faith to embrace it. And may every visitor carry home a spark of that spirit, igniting their own fight for freedom, excellence, and national pride. America is beautiful. Not perfect, but profoundly good. And after this summer, the world knows it too. And when 10 million people go home, they will tell the world. They will tell the world. And they should. And that's the monologue. This segment proudly sponsored by PuroClean's Veterans Initiative, PuroVet, where veterans find purpose in property restoration and owning their own business. We salute those who served. Find out more at 855-PuroVet or purovet.com. If you're a veteran and know somebody it is, this is a chance for them to get to the front of the line, own their own company. purovet.com. I'll be right back. All right. I hope you guys like that. I really have been having a good time because this is all over social media. And it really is fun for me to watch. And I hope it is for you as well, to watch these folks, you know, dancing and celebrating. The Scots took over Fenway Park, turned it into one giant party, watching baseball. So it's pretty amazing. And it reinforces into me what I've known all this time. We live in the greatest country on earth. Anybody that doesn't think so hasn't gone anywhere. As I have been saying, if you want to hate America, watch the mainstream media news. If you want to love America, drive across it. Stop in a few places. Talk to a few people. You'll find out. We live in the greatest place. I'm having fun with it. Let's see. Oil is at $75 this morning. Some of the predictions, heck, we had guys on the program yesterday said $85 a barrel. Well, it fell well below that overnight to $75. It's just creeped to $76. But it's cheaper than it's been since March. That is great news for all of us. It really is. And gas is down again today. More than half the country, well below $4 a gallon now, on its way to being below $3. So, good news. Did you know that over 90% of Americans don't get enough essential vitamins and minerals from food alone? And some research suggests natural vitamins may be superior to synthetic ones. In fact, I would bank on it. Longevity is an excellent source of over 20 natural vitamins and minerals from real food sources, not synthetic. Longevity is a complete nutritional support that gives you everything you need to age well. Go to longevitywellness.co. Enter the promo code Gruber at checkout for a special discount. Look, Longevity Wellness is a natural product. It comes from plants grown in the earth, not things created in a laboratory. You need omega-3s, they've got it. You need protein, lots of protein. Whatever it might be, whether you're 8 years old or 80 years old, doesn't matter. This will make you feel better and put a pep in your step. LongevityWellness.co. Promo code is Gruber. Back after this. Anyone who has watched this program for any period of time knows that one of the things that I talk about, have talked about, and continue to talk about is the destruction of the nuclear family. And in no area of America has the nuclear family suffered more than in black America. In 1965, the majority of kids, black kids born in America, were born to two parents. Today, it's a fraction. A fraction. My next guest is Putting that front and center, Terrace E. Todd, Director of Coalitions and Outreach for the Project 21 Black Leadership Network. He brings a wealth of experience to the team, having served in the federal government, as an advisor for a think tank, as a member of the clergy, as an author, as a podcast host in local politics. We're lucky to have him. Terrace, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thanks for having me.
Listen, I heard Thomas Sowell here recently explain this in a way that I'd never heard before. Maybe you'll reflect on this for me. He said, Black Americans survived slavery. The family was intact. They survived Jim Crow and all that horrible treatment at the hands mostly of Democrats, and the black family survived that. But one generation of welfare and the welfare state has torn the black family apart. You've got no dads. Where are the dads, Terrace? We need more. And it's not just true in the black community, but it's especially true there, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We have a history of knowing just the destruction of the black family. And you're absolutely right what you just mentioned, that even prior to the 60s and so on, and a lot prior to their push for welfare, black families were far more intact than others. And we fared very well. They did well. There was less crime. Children actually did well in school. They were least likely to get on drugs at that time or whatever. And that same thing holds true today. You know, when fathers are actively engaged and mothers are actively engaged in their children's lives, it leads to a more promising future. But it's interesting because what's happened is when you put forth a plan like the welfare plan that was initiated, I think many of us believe it was intentional. It was truly intentional to remove the head of the family, which is the order of God, first of all, that the head of a household would be the father, and then the mother would be there raising their children alike. But when you take the head off the body is sure to die. And so that's exactly what's been happening over the years.
Let me ask you about some of the things that are pushed consistently by the left. We need more welfare dollars, more control by government, critical race theory. None of these things have benefited the black family or the black community. When you have New York City, there are more abortions of black children than there are children born. What a heartbreaking statistic that is. And I look, it's government yes. Claiming to want to do well, but really, and you might be right, Terrace, by design, destroying entire communities.
Oh, absolutely. And to add to that, I mean, you know, Margaret Sanger's plan was on full display. They said about 79% of even abortion clinics are near black and brown neighborhoods, and so it's giving them access. But what they've done is they've planned for the long game, right? And so ultimately, it's really an attack on humanity as a whole, because now it's not just black Americans; it's moved on to other communities as well. And so there's an agenda by some elitists and globalists who literally want to destroy humanity as we know it. And so it's truly an anti-God agenda, and that's what's unfolding before our very eyes.
You know, one of the go-to comments, slanders, if you will, from the left these days is that Donald Trump is a racist. Republicans are racist. I couldn't find anything that's further from the truth, to be honest, Terrace. And here it is, Democrat voters that are black still, by and large, vote for Democrats. And I would say, look at Baltimore, look at Chicago, look at any major city. What have the Democrats done to make those places better, to raise a family, to raise a child, to have a living, to put food on there? What have they done for 50 years or 60 years to benefit not just the black family, but this country? Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts on that are many, put it that way. But I can tell you this, what's even more sad is when the left has actually co-opted even black organizations that would normally serve those communities, but they've co-opted them. They're buying and selling them like it's going out of style. You know, they offer them money to actually also continue to push their own agenda of decimating the black community. The great late Bob Woodson just said that 70% out of all the dollars that are supposed to go to serving black communities or even communities in need, 70% of that funding go to the organizations designed to help service them. So 100% is not going towards those communities. It's going towards the organizations that are actually supposed to service them. If you look of late, the Southern Poverty Law Center, right? Who came to their defense? The NAACP did. You know, even though they were funding hate groups. Why? Because it keeps them relevant. It keeps them in business, so to speak. And that's very unfortunate when they actually have gotten Black Americans to buy into that, to actually push this hate on their own people. And so, again, that's what we're seeing today.
Race grifters. They've got to have the division. They've got to have this idea of racism. Otherwise, their whole argument falls apart and their funding collapses. We know now that the SPLC funded what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. It was all a fraud. You know, these Patriot Front and some of these other groups, they're all a fraud, paid for to put on this show, this performance to try to teach us all that somehow there's a racist hiding behind every tree. Is there racism in America? Yes. Is it anywhere near the extent that they tried to sell us? Absolutely not. You know, they're just not. And what about people that run the race circus like Al Sharpton? They must do more harm than good, right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I'll give you another one. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's a hoax. You know, the Department of Labor actually came out with a study that proved who actually benefited from that initiative. And it was mostly Caucasian women. It was everyone else. And Black Americans were like 8th on the list. So that's a huge hoax. But again, even some of these boycotts, when you think about it, what they're doing is they're operating from an old model. They're taking old wine and trying to put it into new wineskin. And my thing is this: a true boycott is when you own your own. Because at the end of the day, they're not encouraging Black Americans or anyone to start their own businesses, especially in a community like ours that have a $2 trillion spending power each year. You would think they would have their own stores and their own systems and whatnot, but no, they're telling them to boycott other people's businesses, which we know that that's not going to last too long, because those are the ones that's going into their communities to provide those services. And so, but DEI and all those things, those are hoaxes. That's just the funding mechanism, because we have the Civil Rights Act that's actually law that tells us we are prohibited from discrimination against someone because of the color of their skin or their sex and so on. And so anyway, it was just the way the left could actually get things funded. And that's why their hair is on fire when we're talking about destroying the Department of Education here in D.C.
Yeah. You know, the civil rights laws, the first one passed in 1957 with Dwight Eisenhower, Republican. Mm-hmm. They failed to mention that in schools.
That's right.
Or the fact that it took Republicans to force it through because Democrats were filibustering the Civil Rights Act of the 1960s. Terrace, good conversation. You come back anytime, my friend. Telling the truth is what we do here, and I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. The more you know, the more dangerous you are to the left. Be educated. Be educated. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. You know, the difference between a conspiracy theory and fact is a number of months. Might be 6, might be 12, might be a little more. That's why I have Peter McCullough here, Dr. Peter McCullough, Chief Scientific Officer at the Wellness Company, because I have to ask about one that just dropped in our labs. Doctor, nice to see you today.
Thank you.
All right, so outgoing National Intelligence Director, Tulsi Gabbard. We've heard these rumors for years that the United States was running biolabs, doing research into gain of function and things of that nature all over the world. And we're like, well, is there proof? Well, there is now for 120 labs, give or take, run by the United States government. How important is this revelation coming from Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, it's important, Steve, and many points here. So first, she's outgoing, so she didn't release them on day one. So she must know that they, have lots of implications there for the ODNI, as well as the intelligence community. The second point is this is largely the Department of Defense biological threat reduction program. Now, the CDC, other government agencies are involved, and they say the money went to these labs. Now, the biggest recipient is Ukrainian labs, and that they are independent labs, supposed to be doing independent research. Well, there are very few, if any, scientific publications that have come out of these labs, and there's no evidence of biological threat reduction. None. So I can tell you right now, I am very suspicious that the U.S. was running labs actually in the development of threats, the development of new pandemic threats and countermeasures, and most of this was in secret.
Yeah, all of it is secret. And so here's the thing. The other thing that she made pretty clear, Anthony Fauci and other top government bureaucrats, the people behind the COVID scam, I don't know what to call it, doctor. Look, they lied to us over and over again. First about the pandemic, second about the injections, the mRNA injections. And Anthony Fauci was right in the center of all of that. He was the center of that universe. Will he ever be held accountable? Will we ever get to the bottom of it?
That question always goes back to the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and now Todd Blanche. The Attorney General can launch his own DOJ investigation, but in the setting of government conflict of interest and something of public health importance, the correct thing to do is for Blanche to assign a special counsel, and then an independent counsel do the investigation of Fauci. So this should be all eyes on the DOJ to do something. I know Rand Paul has done the best he can, independent media, Senator Ron Johnson, but the DOJ has to be put in the hot spot on Anthony Fauci.
Yeah. Last thing, I want to shift gears with you here. I keep hearing about ticks, the tick explosion, alpha-gal syndrome, Lyme disease, all of these things. They're out there. I don't like being worried about such things, and I don't worry about such things because I have the great kits from the Wellness Company, one just like this one sitting on my desk. I mean, I'm always prepared. The contagion kit comes in a black box, and you can protect yourself. You don't have to sit there and be worried, correct?
Yeah, well, Steve, you're in a Lyme endemic area in Michigan. I can tell you that. And so you get a tick bite, you get that tick out, and make sure you get the head out of your skin. Reach for the aquamarine blue box and pull out the bottle of doxycycline and take a capsule of doxycycline. If you do that within 72 hours of the tick bite, within 36 hours of removal of the tick bite, you're going to avoid Lyme disease and you can avoid a lifetime of misery. So these medical emergency kits in Lyme areas like you are in Michigan, that whole Northeast, coming down to the central Midwest, you really have to have a kit.
Dr. Peter McCullough, always a pleasure. Take care of yourself, protect yourself. Don't live in fear. Live with what you need on the shelf, sir. Thank you as always.
Thank you.
All right, twc.health/Gruber. Promo code is Gruber. You'll save 10% on one of those great kits. Meanwhile, we're going to jump over to Donald Trump. He is sitting down right now with the president of Egypt, taking a few questions. Let's hear what he has to say.
I said, I've just been here one day. They tell me about affordability. They're the ones that caused affordability. It's just another con job. They made up the word affordability. But we're bringing prices down a lot, and they're coming down fast. And with the settlement, so worthwhile, with the settlement where you're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and then we bring them down on top of that. And I think oil prices might get lower than where they were before the war. So I'm going to see you at 4 o'clock, and we'll discuss that a little bit, and we'll discuss other things. But we've had a great meeting. It's been a great summit, and France has done a fantastic job. President Macron has been he's really done a great job. It's been very well received. Everybody here has been, I don't know if they've been happy. Some are not doing so well, but some are doing very well. But they've done a beautiful job. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Press.
President, can you address the MOU that's been reported? It includes.
Have I read it?
Well, it's been reported that it includes a $300 billion construction fund funded by Gulf allies. That's false?
It's false. People, you can invest if you want. I mean, what am I going to do? Say nobody's ever allowed to invest? No, we're not investing. We're not putting up 10 cents. And people can decide to do that, but that's up to them. I mean, do you want me to say nobody's ever allowed to invest in a country? I'll say it with Egypt. Nobody's allowed to invest in Egypt. Am I supposed to say that?
I'm asking whether.
We are not investing in it, and we do not have a fund.
Are you asking Gulf countries?
No, I'm not. I'm not. If they do it, fine. But I would say they won't be doing it for a while until they find out the behavior. It's a behavior thing. But we are not investing. That's a false story that got picked up incorrectly from a statement that was pretty well made, I think. Maybe a little bit, could have been a little more accurate, frankly. But it's a story. We are not investing 10 cents. Don't forget.
I will keep an eye on the president dissuading and debunking more myths about this $300 billion that the left-leaning media just simply refuses to accept the truth. We'll keep an eye on the president's activities. Still in France for the G7 summit. More after this. All right, President Trump still with the president of Egypt answering questions about what happens if Iran steps out of line. Let's jump back in.
Will you support Egypt rights, water security?
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. You don't listen.
How and when?
Yes, that's what we're talking about. Of course I support Egypt. He's a friend of mine. From day one, I met him early in the campaign when Crooked Hillary and I were running against each other, right? And I was told that the president of Egypt is here. That was a big deal. It's still a big deal for me to be with the great president of Egypt, but not as big as it used to be before I ran. So he was in a hotel, and I met him, and we fell in love, deeply in love. And he didn't even want to see Hillary. He said, "You're going to win. I don't want to meet her." He said, "You're going to win." He didn't want to see her. Remember that? So we had a good relationship right from the beginning. No, we met. We didn't know each other before that. We had great chemistry, and I stayed twice as long as I was supposed to. It took up her time. And then when it was her time, he didn't want to meet with her. But he did because he's a gentleman, but it lasted about 1 minute. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for asking us, guys. Thank you for asking us. Thank you for asking us. Thank you for asking. Thank you.
All right. I think he's wrapped up this time around, the president and the president of Egypt there at the summit, the G7 summit in France. He said that if Iran violates the rules, which they've done for 47 years, that he will drop bombs right on their heads. I guess the wrath of God still comes from the United States military when needed. Donald Trump he extended his stay. He was invited to Versailles in France for dinner, so he has extended his stay at the G7, which has been successful, coming off the successful peace negotiations with Iran and so much more. The president has wind in his sails, that's for sure, and you can tell. He's very pleased. The World Cup is going well. Iran has capitulated. The economy is doing well. Oil is plummeting. So much to talk about. We'll do that in the next hour right here on Daybreak.
You're calling for
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now on Real America's Voice.
All right, let's jump right back into it. Welcome back. Fighting for you from the Foxhole of Freedom, digging deeper into the analysis. So you have a lot to talk about when you go to the water cooler today. Here are three big things to know this hour. Number one, animal rights activists are in a full-blown panic over a plan to kill 450,000 barred owls over the next 30 years in the western United States. And now the matter will end up in front of a judge who will decide their fate. Number two, the investigation into the terror plot that was targeting the UFC fight on the lawn of the White House has snagged several suspects, more being tracked, another bullet dodged. And number three, J.D. Vance went into the Viper Pit Tuesday as he appeared on The View with Whoopi and the hysterical America haters, and boy, was he gracious and patient and humble. In short, he was great. Ivy's jumping in now. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. I don't know how much of this you saw, but I want to share just a little bit of J.D. because he did the entire interview. He was low-key and honest and humble, and he had a smile on his face. I mean, if you go into the Viper Pit, do so with a smile on your face.
And might as well be steadfast about it, right?
Amen. Listen to this.
Enforcement is always inherently not a very pretty process, especially when you're dealing sometimes with violent people, with people who are resisting arrest. Some of the people that I've been told by the media were completely peaceful, had never violated any laws. You actually look into the record and you find out that those people were actually being violent, or they did have a criminal record. They had a sex trafficking conviction.
Don't have criminal records. So the majority of people that ICE is rounding up and taking out of their homes from their families, they're separating families. They're using children as bait.
But
the majority are not criminal.
But can I respond to that, guys? Let me just say this. Okay. So you talk about the children. Here's what I'd say. Do we know that during the last administration, we had tens of thousands of children who were sex trafficked by the cartels, who were brought into our country in profoundly dangerous and predatory conditions?
Let's talk about this administration.
But here's the point. Unless you enforce the border, you invite that kind of conduct. You think that our immigration policies are inhumane based on the reporting of one person with a political bias. What I'm telling you is that it's inhumane to allow cartels to sex traffic people across our border.
Anyhow, it was a Viper Pit.
Frustrates me about that is he's pointing out all the facts, and they don't
care.
Acknowledge
they
the fact
do not
that
care.
How much human trafficking occurred during those years. It's like, let's just brush that under the rug as if it didn't exist. But let's talk about Trump and Trump's policies and all those people that they're disappearing. No, what was it? More than 110,000 illegal criminals have been removed from the country, and they should, because they rape, pillage, steal, murder, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well,
our children and women and men and everything else. It's like, why are we tolerating this?
Yeah.
It's
well,
ridiculous.
Here's the other thing. They don't mention the 350,000 children that the Biden administration couldn't tell you where they were.
Right. They have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are those kids, those poor children?
Well, 150,000 of them have been found in the last 18 months by this administration.
That's right.
But
it's still a long way to go. I have no idea where these kids are.
They are so hateful. But can I play one more?
Yes, please.
I want to play the one with Whoopi Goldberg.
Okay. Oh, yes. I remember this one.
Yeah. Where is it? What did I do with that one? Golly. Here it is. Bite number 7, Anthony. Go ahead and roll that one.
To this administration that has allowed it to really stigmatize folks of color. And you know how hard it is. You have folks of color in your family.
Sure.
So when you see, things, the Emmett Till stuff coming down, or them doing all kinds of removal of information of black heroes, how does that sit with you?
Well, what exactly are you talking about, Whoopi? Because you just
I'm talking
I know
about
Emmett Till was
I can tell you all this. Yeah.
No, I want to know
understand.
what
You don't know
I
what
want to
I'm
respond
talking
to your
about.
actual point.
So in a lot of the museums, there's so many. Where they're taking down the actual history that happened in this country. Slavery happened. All kinds of stuff happened, and it seems
right there. It's exactly. She cannot point to a specific
Not
example. And how about what the leftists, how they went to destroy history as well? That never gets talked about.
Right. Well, the fact of the matter is, if there's just so many, Whoopi, just pick one. But it's a typical liberal talking point. Ivy, you and I were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah, they fumble all over themselves to find an answer because they hear, oh, this is, Black history is being, and Black heroes are being erased from museums. Well, that's not true.
It's not true at all. It is simply false. And he says, and you and I were watching that as it happened. We're going, what's she talking about? And then he goes, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
No
Give
answer.
me the examples.
No answer.
She couldn't produce one.
So compare and contrast that. I know you saw this morning's monologue. With all the people here saying America is wonderful, the people are great, the food is ridiculous.
Yeah, I have an interesting fact about that over the weekend. World Cup fans from Scotland drank the bars in Boston dry over the weekend.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like, wow, they're having a good time.
They've got the keg upside down, shaking it.
The Scottish, man, they can put down some beers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a breath of fresh air to have people in our country like, man, this is a great country.
Well.
And people, listen, the reality is a lot of Americans especially on the left, take this country for granted of how wonderful it is. I mean, look at our national parks, how beautiful our country is.
It's an incredible place.
And the opportunities that we have in this country.
Well, I want to go to the point that you made is this. These people are fed a steady diet of Trump's awful, America's racist, gun culture, Wild West in the streets, and they come here and they go, well, that's not what we were told, because they get lied to by their media, maybe even more than our media lies to us, if that's possible.
Well, I heard one guy this morning, and maybe he played this, but, he's talking about, man, in America, people are so friendly. They want to have a conversation with you. They want to get to know you. It's like, in my country, nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's, the one guy said being in England's like being in a little tiny box and they have no fun. Americans have fun. Yes, we do.
That's right.
Yes, we do. And so it's nice to see people with fresh eyes come here and tell you how great the place is. And
Agreed.
The thing is, places like CNN and others are being forced to cover it because it's everywhere. There's more than 10, you told me yesterday, there's more than 10 million fans in the country right now, right? From all over the world, from Africa, South America, Europe. They're all loving it because they're in places like Chattanooga. In Chicago and Louisiana and all over the place.
Right. And even, some of our great cities, even though there are some problems there, they're still incredible cities. I mean, let's take New York, for example. Yeah, we don't like the policies there, and there's a tremendous amount of crime, but it is still an incredible city.
Yeah. And D.C., boy, is it cleaned up.
And Chicago,
yeah.
and.
There are great places, even though there are big problems in many of these places. There are still some great places in those cities. Detroit, I'm going to give a shout out to Detroit. What a wonderful place it has become.
That's right.
I'm going to leave it there. Ivy, love you. Nice to see you. You'll be back.
I love you.
All right, we'll take a break. See you in a moment. I shared a headline with you yesterday that Los Angeles was facing lethal temperatures. Lethal. I mean, these headlines are just unbelievable. So I did a little checking. Los Angeles got over 100 degrees, but nowhere near their 121-degree record. I mean, it wasn't even in the ballpark, and that was from decades ago. And that's typical of the left. Hysteria. Hysteria above all else. Facts, those don't matter. Let's be panicked immediately. So I bring on Gregory Wrightstone, geologist and the executive director of the CO2 Coalition, Arlington, Virginia, best-selling author of A Very Convenient Warming, How Modest Warming and More CO2 Are Actually Benefiting Humanity. Nice to see you, Gregory.
Oh, good to see you. Did you say that warming and more CO2 are benefiting humanity?
I
no
did.
One's heard that.
You know, I learned in first grade that warmth and water, because we're getting too much rain. No, we could use a little bit more here. Got some yesterday, but warmth, heat, and water create life, Gregory. I learned that in first grade. And CO2, they called it then the gas of life. That's what we were taught as kids, right? What changed?
Indeed. Yeah. Well, here at the CO2 Coalition, one of our mottos is, we love CO2 and so should you. And so we're promoting the many benefits of carbon dioxide, and your listeners should welcome this information.
Yeah, they absolutely should. Look, a lot of things are going on, and it seems that we have blunted finally the whole green hysteria, at least in many circles. People look at it and go, look, it's weather. Get over it. It snows, it rains, it gets hot, it gets cold. That's life, all right? But here's something else I want to talk to you about, because we talk about this a lot. These utilities in every state run monopolies. Same is true in my state, same is true in Ohio and Texas. You've got these giant utilities, and they have the Public Service Commissioner, whoever says, yes, we'll give you more money. Boom. And every time a coal-fired power plant gets bulldozed, they celebrate. Why? Because they get to build a brand new fancy plant using gas or something else, and they get to send you the bill. It's a terrible system, Gregory, in my estimation.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
It is, and your viewers will probably learn a few things right here. Number one, the utilities that are the RTOs, they're called, the transmission organizations. In the Midwest, it's MISO, M-I-S-O. In the East, the largest is PJM, which is Pennsylvania, Jersey, Maryland. And these utilities are guaranteed a rate of return on their investment, usually 8 to 10%. And so the more money they spend, this is the key to take away here. The more they spend, the more money they make, because they're guaranteed a rate of return. And so they're incentivized to gold plate these projects. They're incentivized to, or not incentivized to save money. And so they just pass along these costs to the consumers. And the other thing that will infuriate you is they're paying many, many, many millions of dollars to lobbyists in D.C. And around the country, and they're able to take those lobbying costs and just add it to the rate base of the consumers. Another thing that's infuriating is if there's transmission to be built, say to a new data center or anywhere within the system, no one is allowed. They are the only ones. It's a monopoly for building that transmission system, and no one's allowed to underbid them. There's no competition, and so they're just another money source they're going to do. And Dominion Energy is the biggest utility in the Virginia area, part of PJM, and they were funding a huge offshore wind facility. It's still not sure it's going to be built, and they don't care it's more expensive, because again, they get a guaranteed rate of return. And then if we look at how they bid for electricity purchases, each of the electricity generators gets to bid whatever their costs, what they want to pay for that day. And wind and solar, since they have no fuel costs and they've already got their sunk costs, they can bid near zero because they're highly subsidized. But the key here is they take the highest priced bid of the day and apply it to everybody. And so a wind and solar generating facility would bid near zero, but they get paid as much as the coal-fired facility that bid much higher. And it's just crazy. It's nuts.
I did a little
but
bit
again,
of research here.
These are huge utilities that are monopolies.
And I don't know how it is at PJM or some of the other places, but in Michigan, there are two monopolies. One of those is Consumers Energy. The CEO of that operation last year made just shy of $11 million in compensation, right? While families are seeing rate increase after rate increase, as soon as they get one, they ask for another one, Gregory. And they get granted.
Yeah, and it's just all passed on. Our electricity prices are going up faster than a squirrel up a telephone pole, and that's because a combination of things are these expensive. And bear in mind, solar and wind are inexpensive once the facilities have been constructed because they have no fuel costs, but they're extremely expensive to build and environmentally harmful. And so they have to pay backup energy for the reliable energy sources, coal, natural gas, and nuclear. They go on standby whenever the solar, when the sun's shining, and when the wind is blowing for the wind, but they're still having to pay the coal-fired plants standby rates, and this is just causing. And again, we're add the competition for the data centers, more competition for that energy prices, and we're seeing skyrocketing prices. California's got has the highest electricity rates in the country. Unfortunately, Texas, they have low costs, but they have one of the largest renewable energy systems in the country.
They do. They're building windmills across Texas. I got to leave it there for today, but what an education. By the way, the second utility monopoly in Michigan, the CEO there of DTE gets $8.5 million. Between the two, they're making $20 million. At my expense and yours, Gregory.
And you're paying for it. You're paying for it.
What an eye-opener. Gregory Wrightstone, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's unbelievable, folks. We're getting robbed every day. And the politicians put a stamp of approval on it every day. We'll be right back. This part of the program brought to you by Old Glory Bank. It's one thing for a bank to say they support our servicemen and women. It is another thing to prove it. Old Glory Bank is proud to stand with our military and their families by offering Old Glory Protect. It's a $100,000 line of duty death benefit they offer free to their customers. It is a meaningful way that they express gratitude for those who protect our country. Learn more at oldglorybank.com/RAV. That's oldglorybank.com/RAV. Gregory was just talking about these data centers. Here's a story that'll just grind your goat. A Texas family gave the small town they lived in 87 acres, Taylor, Texas. 87 acres. Here, we're going to give you this for $10. Build a park. What did Taylor, Texas do? They took that property and sold it to a data center for $10 million. They were granted land for a park for the benefit of the people, for the benefit and enjoyment of the people, and turned around and screwed everybody. I don't know if there's any legal recourse for that. Yep, they granted the land to a public trust called the Texas Parks and Recreation Foundation, $10 back in 1999, on the condition on the condition to be used as a park. 4 years later, the trust granted the land to another nonprofit called the Williamson County Park Foundation, which turned around a month later and gave it to the city of Taylor. In 2008, Taylor sold the land to the Taylor Economic Development Corporation for $15,000 and sat on the property for nearly 20 years, selling it to a data center Blueprint for $10 million in 2025. If there is a condition on a transfer of land, that has to be bulletproof. I don't know if there's any legal recourse here, but there sure should be. Because the people that don't make much money, the people make a little bit of money, people make a lot of money. The park is yours. 87 acres, pretty good sized park. Now it's going to be a data center in Taylor, Texas. That should not be allowed to happen, ever. And the money, the $15 million, ought to be given to the family. My thoughts. What are yours? Send me an email, stevegruber.com. stevegruber.com. Send me an email. I'll be right back. All right, well, I'm watching the energy prices. They absolutely collapsed after the announced deal with Iran. It has been signed digitally. The formal signatures will be put down on paper come Friday in Switzerland. That's the plan. Joining me is Diana Furchtgott-Roth, Oxford-educated economist, public policy expert who served in the Trump, Reagan, and both Bush administrations. She is a distinguished fellow at the Energy Policy Research Foundation. She joins me now to sort it out with us. Thank you for being here.
Great to be with you, Steve. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's nice to see you again. All right, so oil was at $75. It's inched up to $76, but that's the cheapest it's been since March. Gas prices will follow suit, but it will take a bit longer. Iranian oil tankers, at least 3, have already left the Strait of Hormuz as the strait has been reopened to oil traffic. What does this all mean?
Well, I think it means that energy prices are going lower. There is some expectation that this deal is going to be signed and that the ceasefire is going to lead to a peace. Whether this is true, I don't know, because no one has seen the text of the agreement. And we need to see what's going to happen. As people say, the devil is in the details. But for right now, it looks good because prices are set on the basis of future expectations. And future expectations are that oil is going to start flowing. That means gasoline prices are lower. And Americans are going to get a big break in time for the July 4th holiday.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
You know, I saw estimates yesterday from a couple of the big banks here on Wall Street. And they put the target price by the end of the year at $75 to $85 a barrel. This morning it was at $75 when I first glanced, so it's already there. Some other folks say the price of oil could be $65 a barrel. Do you have, if for the sake of argument, the ceasefire holds, Diana, do you have any feeling as to where that oil price will settle?
Well, in the past, before the Iranian conflict, it's been around $60 a barrel, 60 to 65, in that kind of range. So I expect it would go back to where it was before.
Here's something else that I think is incredibly important to point out. We've been discussing here on this program for a while now. Through this process, starting with Venezuela on the 2nd of January, followed by the Iranian conflict beginning at the end of February, Donald Trump has reordered the global energy markets. What we learned during this last 100 days is that America can produce more oil, so can Argentina, so can Venezuela, so can Brazil. The Western Hemisphere producing more oil today than at any time in history, making OPEC ever more obsolete. In fact, the UAE said, we're done with OPEC, we're out. OPEC will no longer hold sway over the rest of the world, it seems to me, because in large part of the work done by Donald Trump. What would you say?
Well, America is now producing almost 14 million barrels a day. This could go higher with the energy dominance agenda in the next couple of years. And it really seems as though America is stepping into the gap that Saudi Arabia used to have. And this is very beneficial to our economy, not just for the United States, but because we can help our allies abroad. And if something like this happens again, and I'm pretty sure that it will happen again, because a ceasefire is not always a lasting peace, and Iran has not given up saying death to America, death to Israel. When this happens again, we will be even more prepared.
You know, something else that happened during this last 100 days, Saudi Arabia had the Petro Line. It runs across the nation all the way to the Red Sea. And what I'm getting at here is alternative routes for export. The Strait of Hormuz is not as important as it once was, even 100 days ago, because of alternative plans being put in place by the Saudis and several other Gulf nations, saying we can find other ways and pipelines to move the oil in a different direction and stay away from the Iranian regime. So the Iranian regime, its power greatly diminished. If you don't need the Strait of Hormuz, if it becomes ever more obsolete, that's also a benefit, isn't it?
It certainly is. And just as when Russia stopped selling natural gas to Europe, and the Europeans all of a sudden found gas in Hungary, Romania, there's natural gas in Spain. So the world is finding different sources. It's finding its way around the Strait of Hormuz. But I think Iran is very important in giving oil to China. China is our main rival, and it's very possible that China was leaning on Iran to make this agreement so that it could start getting the cheap oil it needs from Iran. China is energy hungry, oil thirsty. It needs oil. and, of course, its own coal to produce the wind turbines, the solar panels that Europe is buying, the EVs, the batteries. So China is a big consumer of Iranian oil.
Yeah, and with Venezuela taken off the board for China and put into American control, Iran the same. China is the big loser here. Looking down the road, though, Diane, I want to ask you this because we've seen something happening in America that has not happened in decades. That is the fast tracking of nuclear energy. In fact, modular nuclear reactors are being developed in this country at a rapid rate. And so, again, dependence on oil or natural gas will be lessened. We produce more. Our dependence becomes less through nuclear energy. We are setting ourselves up for energy dominance here in this country, which is vital. It is crucial. It is something you have to have for the American economy to move the way it does, right?
Right. Well, nuclear can be very important. President Trump has issued 3 or 4 executive orders that can help speed up the development of nuclear power plants and small modular nuclear reactors. There are great ideas, such as having nuclear power plants off the coast, on ships, feeding power to the shore. There's so much innovation. But right now, we don't yet have a small modular reactor. Some have been approved. We don't actually have one. It still takes about 10 to 15 years to build a nuclear power plant. We need that speeded up. We have to hope that President Trump's executive orders on having a depository for spent fuel, on having more fuel here made in the United States, on changing the safety requirements for nuclear power plants to make them more realistic and to give the states more power. We have to hope that's going to happen to speed up the development of these nuclear power plants, because right now we have centuries of natural gas. Natural gas is cheaper than nuclear power, and we're relying on that natural gas.
As we should. We're not short on uranium either. We've got lots of uranium in Montana and Wyoming and elsewhere. We're not short on the products we need to power America's future, because America runs on vast quantities of cheap energy. That's how we continue to hold sway over the world economy. Last word to you.
We just need the permits to get this out of the ground. The joke is that President Trump wanted to buy Greenland because the permitting process in Greenland was easier to get those critical minerals. We have so much here in the United States, and we need to be speeding up this permitting process so that our companies can get it out of the ground and get it to where it has to go.
Absolutely true. Diana, good conversation as always. Nice to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Great to be with you.
Always a pleasure. We try to educate you, give you as many facts as you can possibly digest in a short period of time. We should have more time. I could sit here and talk for hours. Just ask Ivy. We'll be back after this. Let's talk healthcare now for a few minutes, all right? It's, for many, it's the biggest bill they face, whether it's, the prescriptions they get, treatments they need, emergencies they don't expect. Healthcare is a big concern for many people. Clearly, Obamacare is a failure. But Donald Trump has done some things to lower the price of prescription medications, among other things, and continues to do so with Trump RX. But when it comes to your health, what would be nice is if you walk into an emergency room and here's the price. Stitches are this much. A Band-Aid is this much. Aspirin are this much. Maybe you could compare, and shop the menu, if you will. But that's not the way it is. Most of these prices are hidden, and with insurance companies, there can be a single procedure with as many as 100 different price points. Unbelievable, but true. Joining me now is Carrie Sheffield, director of the Center for AI and Technology at the Independent Women's Forum. Carrie, nice to see you again.
Morning. Good to see you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here on a Wednesday. Price transparency. It's one of the biggest complaints that I have, and so do millions of others. You have no idea what you're being charged for what until the bill shows up in your mailbox or on your computer in an email, and you're like, wait a second. I mean, price transparency is really important, and yet there's almost none of it, is there?
Correct. And even what I hate also is when you go to check out, let's say you're at an outpatient procedure, and they say, you know what, don't worry, you're covered, as in you don't owe anything. And then 2 weeks later, you get a nasty gram in the mail saying you're overdue, pay it, what's up, what's wrong with you, But we've been fighting for this at Independent Women's Forum and Independent Women's Voice, our 501c3 and C4, because this is something that is just common sense. And it is actually bipartisan. I think what's interesting is that when I've talked to some folks on the right who oppose this idea, they say, well, we need to have the insurance companies because they are the firewall against socialized medicine. Well, that might be correct in the sense that it's better than socialized medicine, but the best would be full transparency, and as much as getting the middleman, which is the insurance companies, out of the way as possible, the better, because then you have true competition. That's how you drive down prices. And what's really interesting is that we have natural experiments about this, because there are some medical procedures or medical adjacent, or basically, for example, LASIK. LASIK is typically not covered by most insurance companies. And what's fascinating is that the price of LASIK, it goes down and down and down and down because there is true pressure through competition, because there's transparency. Now, there's been calculations, estimates from economists about if we had true price transparency, how much value could we create? They say about $1 trillion could be saved in healthcare costs. And so this is part of why hospitals and insurance companies are so opposed to this. And here's the dirty secret. Hospitals are already currently required to list their prices, but only 25% of hospitals, roughly, it kind of modulates quarterly, actually comply with this. And the reason why is because the penalties are very mild and they're rarely enforced.
Yeah. Something else that has come to my attention in recent years is if you go to the hospital and say, I am a cash payer, oftentimes your bill is a fraction of what you would pay through your insurance company. It's unbelievable. I have a gentleman that's been on this program a number of times. His wife had a high-risk pregnancy and delivery. $28,000 was the bill put in front of him. He says, no, I'm a cash payer. And they came back a short while later. They charged him $2,800, a 90% discount for cash. I mean, how does that even make sense, Carrie?
It makes sense because hospital insurance companies and hospital CEOs, they like to have pools and, timeshares down in Florida. So that's really what it is. So, and look, I'm not going to be bashing, I am pro-capitalism, but that's actually the problem here, is that we don't have true capitalism, because if we did, then these prices would go down. And instead, what we have in insurance is government also, unfortunately, is a big distortion here. So we don't have a true For anything a Marxist wants to say about America, we do not have a capitalistic healthcare system. We absolutely do not. Medicare and Medicaid, when you combine those expenses within the healthcare marketplace, they are dominant, and they cause distortions in the market. They cause there to be a lack of transparency, lack of competition, and that's what we see. I mean, I always make the comparison. It's similar to student loans. Because government distorts the borrowing market for student loans, there is no incentive for these universities to lower the prices. And so, as a result, college tuition has greatly exceeded the cost of inflation, just like healthcare, because the more government distortion you have through Medicare and Medicaid, and then these insurance companies, the less it becomes this basically opaque Byzantine system where the consumer is, there's so many layers between the provider and the patient. That's what these extra costs are.
Yeah, and then, of course, Washington is run by lobbyists who continue to push for more of the same, and we end up getting the bill, Carrie. That's what happens. They push because, hey, tell you what, keep doing the same old thing. We'll continue to fund your campaign so you can be reelected and you can look cool. It's a sad state of affairs when we get to all that. How do we fix it? We've only got about, I'm going to give you a chance, 45 seconds, Carrie. What would you do to change things today?
Well, call your lawmaker, tell them to support. There are numerous transparency bills right now in Congress. There was a hearing last week from the Energy and Commerce Health Subcommittee in the House. They have a whole list of different wonderful bills: the Lower Cost, More Transparency Act, the Patients Deserve Price Tags Act, the Clear Healthcare Expense Cost Knowledge Act. So call your lawmaker, both your House and your senators, and tell them to get on board with price transparency for healthcare. We need it.
We do need it. An MRI costs what it costs. It can't be $1 here and $1 million there and 27 places in between. Carrie Sheffield, always in education. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. God bless.
God bless you. Greatly appreciate it. Still to come today, we're going to have sports. Ron Rademacher will be here to tell you about all the wonderful things to do in summertime. And it is summer, even though it's been a cool summer. Must be climate change, right? Back after this. All right, let's check it out in sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. There were 4 games at the World Cup yesterday. France beat Senegal 3-1. Norway took down Iraq 4-1. Argentina shut out Algeria 3-0. Lionel Messi had a hat trick for the defending champs, and Austria knocked off Jordan 3-1. There are 4 more games today. In Major League Baseball, a full schedule. American League winners included Toronto, Minnesota, and Houston. National League winners included Philadelphia, St. Louis, and Colorado. At the College Baseball World Series in Omaha, West Virginia eliminated Troy with a 12-0 whitewashing, and Georgia eliminated Texas 2-0. In the WNBA, there was just one game. Indiana thrashed Toronto 113-91. Kelsey Mitchell had 27 points for the Fever, and the Vegas Golden Knights announced that head coach John Tortorella will not return as coach next season. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
John who?
John Tortorella.
I don't know what that means.
No, he's coached a lot of places in the NHL. He is American, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. How long until football starts? I mean, the whole soccer thing is entertaining to me insofar as all these people love America, but I don't really watch.
Training camp starts in about a month, a little more than a month.
Right. It's almost football season, Brock. It's almost the 4th of July.
It's not that far away.
Isn't it great?
The only problem with it is cooler weather and cold weather. But, hey, you know, football's great. But I'm not a 24/7, 365 football guy like some people are.
All right. Fair enough. I don't watch, what is this, XFL, UFL, whatever this stuff is?
No, I don't watch that either.
Me either. You know what I like? My favorite sport to watch on TV these days, Brock?
I'm afraid to ask.
No, you shouldn't be. Women's softball.
Okay.
I think it is awesome. They're so close. It's so fast. I think it's fun to watch. I do.
Yep, I like watching softball too. The College World Series, which is in Oklahoma City every year. I mean, it's a sellout pretty much all the time.
Yeah,
it's big time. And Oklahoma City is going to host the Olympic softball tournament in 2 years, not Los Angeles.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Guess I have to go to Oklahoma.
Isn't
there you
all
go.
Softball, women's softball.
Unless you're on the company team.
Right.
Easy, Anthony.
Isn't that?
I'm getting him his meds. Don't worry. We got a lot more to come. Get some coffee, would you? I'll be right back.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now.
All right, welcome back to it as we continue to bring you all the information you need on just about anything you can imagine. All right, here are three big things this hour. Flock cameras. Flock cameras, they say they don't track people. I don't believe them. They're blossoming like flowers in the spring. Number two, more information coming out about that planned terrorist attack at the UFC event at the White House on Sunday. More suspects being sought. And number three, going behind enemy lines. J.D. Vance. You know, I completely applaud this move. This is a boss move. J.D. Vance going on The View. Because you know what you're going to get. A bunch of hysterical nitwits screaming at you, telling you how awful you are, and so on and so forth, right? Well, J.D. Vance, fearless and humble and polite and nice with a smile on his face. Driving Anna Navarro and Whoopi Goldberg and all the other, Joy Behar and all these other nitwits drove him bananas. He was asked, well, you didn't like Donald Trump. You didn't like Donald Trump. You were a critic. He goes, yeah, I was. But like anything in life, you can learn something along the way. Listen to this.
First of all, it's been well covered that I was a critic of Donald Trump back in 2015 and 2016. Now, obviously, I'm sitting here as the Vice President of the United States in the Trump administration. Well, Joy, a little humility, actually. I think that when you make predictions and those predictions turn out to be false, you got to ask yourself, well, what made me wrong about that? What did I not understand or not appreciate? For example, I said that Donald Trump's economic policies would not lead to wage growth. They did in the first term. That was actually a major, major thing. I said that we couldn't bring back any of those factory jobs because I kind of had given into this idea that those jobs were disappearing. But actually, Donald Trump, you saw a manufacturing boom during that administration. So there's a certain point. Let me just so there's a certain point where you say, you know, I made predictions about this. I ended up being wrong. Yeah. And in politics and anything, I think it's important to just say, you know what? I got some things wrong, and I was wrong about him. He was.
Oh, you mean he can be an adult and say I was wrong? Gee, ladies, there's a lesson for you. Maybe you should admit you're wrong about basically everything. And I'm going to give a couple more examples here because I find it fascinating. Like I said, he did the entire interview, low-key, didn't raise his voice, didn't lose his temper. I mean, he's being prodded by these nitwits from every side. And when he tries to answer a question, they're cutting him off and jumping in and stepping on him. He has to, numerous times, wait, let me answer the question. Here's another example.
Law enforcement is always inherently not a very pretty process, especially when you're dealing sometimes with violent people, with people who are resisting arrest. Some of the people that I've been told by the media were completely peaceful, had never violated any laws. You actually look into the record and you find out that those people were actually being violent, or they did have a criminal record. They had a sex trafficking conviction.
Don't have criminal records. So the majority of people that ICE is rounding up and taking out of their homes from their families, they're separating families. They're using children as bait. But the majority are not criminal.
But can I respond to that, guys? Let me just say this. Okay. So you talk about the children. Here's what I'd say. Do we know that during the last administration, we had tens of thousands of children who were sex trafficked by the cartels, who were brought into our country in profoundly dangerous and predatory conditions?
Let's talk about this administration.
But here's the point. Unless you enforce the border, you invite that kind of conduct. You think that our immigration policies are inhumane based on the reporting of one person with a political bias. What I'm telling you is that it's inhumane to allow cartels to sex traffic people across our border.
I would agree with that. It is inhumane to sex traffic minors. I mean, how many people came across Joe Biden's open border and said, oh, this girl's my daughter, this girl's my niece, whatever. No verification. No proof. 350,000 kids vanished. into thin air under the Biden administration. Those are the facts, my friends. It's not up for debate. Those are the facts. One more. Here's JD correcting the record one more time. Listen to this.
There's no evidence that Maduro was releasing people from insane asylums or jails like Fidel Castro did do. This was made up, and we just can't, accept it without pushing back.
Anna, we know that there were people who were released from prisons who were encouraged to come into the United States.
It wasn't the Mariel, Mr. Vice President. It wasn't where it was like a purposeful release, open up the jails, open up the insane asylums, and let people flood Florida. I've been through that in Miami.
If you go, it may not have been like Mariel, but if you go back to the caravans that were happening in 22, 23, we know that those things were funded. They were in some ways supported by the government.
There was absolutely
so I don't know how you define support or not support, but if people are encouraged to come into our country after having spent time in prison by their own governments, I think that's a problem.
Isn't it remarkable how these people sit here every day for a hate fest for America, a hate fest for Donald Trump? They would do well to watch my monologue from this morning with all the foreigners here for FIFA watching the soccer games all over this country, completely in love with America. They'd be in shock. You see, because in their gated communities where they only watch left-wing news and talk to left-wing people, their gated community bubble doesn't allow the truth to permeate. And therefore they become these cartoons. They're just cartoons. They're not real. Their take on America is so warped that it, like a big storm, is creating its own weather. It sucks in this air and kicks out the other stuff. These people are lost. This is why, by the way, this is why the Democrats are not on the fast track to win the midterms. They think they are. They think they've got a slam dunk, and I'm here to tell you they do not. I am here to tell you they do not. In fact, the polling shows the Democrats in the generic ballot for Congress, on average, up about 3 points. That's not enough to win. It's not enough to win. The Democrats have to be up by 7, 8, 10 points to win like they did in 2006 and 2018, for example. Don't celebrate too soon. Many of you have struggled with losing weight. You lose it, it comes back. And if I said it wasn't your fault, would you believe me? It's not points and shakes and living at the gym. If it was willpower, you'd already have won. It's your metabolism, and it's not broken. It's just turned off. That's what I've learned at My Pure Health. You can find out more and get a free consultation today at GruberHealth.com. Save 25% right now after a free consultation. If it's a good fit, good for you. Eat real food. No exercise needed. Turn your metabolism on naturally and learn the strategies to keep the weight off. Don't be afraid of the mirror anymore. Look at it with pride. GruberHealth.com. GruberHealth.com. Ron Rodemaker is stumbling out of the woods, brushing off the dirt, the debris, and the smell of last night. He'll be here next. right, welcome back to it. A special time of the week when we dust off Ron Rademacher, wheel him out in front of the camera, and make him smile. Hey, Ron. How are you?
Hey, Steve. Thank you for that. I always love I look forward to the intros I get out of you. It's a thrill. So how are you doing?
I'm good. It's summertime. The highs are going to be in the 60s. I mean, it's really quite something.
Yeah, the highs are going to be in the 60s. Hey, listen, I have to bring up something that happened last week before we get into the trips, because you got to be careful what you say on this program. I had no idea how many listeners you have. And I mentioned last week maybe Anthony was letting things down.
He almost canceled you over that, by the way. Go on.
And well, I can see why. There was a public outcry from. I'll tell you what, there must have been a half a dozen people who got a hold of me about that, Steve.
Yeah.
At least 5 saying to lay off of Anthony. Except there was one guy who said, "Who?" So.
Suddenly his mic went dead. It was the weirdest thing. I don't know what happened. Anyhow, no, I mean, honestly, so seriously, the high today, Southern Michigan, end of June, 69. High tomorrow, 69. I mean, seriously.
Seriously.
I see, in fact, I'm going all the way to the 1st of July before I see a prediction of a high that gets to 82. This is the throes of climate change, Ron.
I was on Torch Lake over the weekend for the craft fair there.
Yeah.
Beautiful lake. And on Sunday, the high was 51.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was blistering out there.
Yeah, blistering. This global warming thing is just killing me.
They're going to have to do something about it. Maybe the babes from The View could steal a little more hot air out there.
Talk about putting a chill on everything. Yeah.
And I use the term babes advisedly.
Yeah, well.
No.
Oh, where'd he go? Hello, Ron. Ron. Oh, Ron.
Yeah, there you go.
There he is. See, you mentioned The View, and you freeze up because of the chill.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. So listen, there are going to be some warm spots. Hart, where I am, is not one of them. But South Haven is having their Harbor Fest this coming weekend on the riverfront. And if the wind coming off of Lake Michigan is not too cold, that should be a nice warm time. It was warm last night in Hudsonville at the library. Had a good group of people show up, all different genders, all different ages. Everybody came down to say hello. A couple of listeners stopped by to say hello. So thank you, everybody in Hudsonville. That was a good program we had last night.
Try the ice
and then
cream.
Another warm place, Steve, which should be pretty warm. Father's Day is coming up. I'm sure that you didn't realize that, but it's right around the corner. And a great Father's Day road trip for people in Southern Michigan is go out to the historic Charlton Park. Now, this is outside of Hastings, and they have it's an old historic village. You get to see the blacksmith at work. You get to see all kinds of the general store. You can get ice cream, and they're having a car show. So what says Father's Day in Michigan more than a good car show? I ask.
I like that. The kid loves car shows. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is if you've never been to this historic village, it's just great, and you can get everything you want there. If you're going to be up north, Traverse City, they're having their horse show, and the way they say it here is shop and sip at the City Horse Show. So that's got everything for everybody. Shopping for the dads and sipping for the moms.
Especially the smell.
Especially the snow. Pentwater's having their Spring Fest down on the Village Green. Don't know what the weather's going to be like for that. But in the Upper Peninsula in Hancock, it's time for Johannes Gather. Now, if you've not done this one, Steve, you wouldn't be alone, since this is the first time they're ever doing it, and it's being put on by the Finnish long drink. Have you ever tried one of those? A long drink?
I've seen it in cans at the cooler, if that's what you're talking about.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Go ahead and try one. Be at home when you do so. I'm not sure what the alcohol content is on those, but you'll feel really good. And so they have Finnish music and dance and saunas, long drink garden. Instead of a beer garden, having a long drink garden. And then the Finnish babes will be dancing, and there will be games. So that's a great. They know how to do a festival up there. Hope Hancock.
Hold on. What is Finnish music? What is Finnish music? I don't know what that is.
Well, that's so we're gonna have to get you up to Aura for the Finnish Music Jamboree, which happens every July. Aura is a tiny, tiny little burg up north of Lance, and they have a Finnish folk music festival that goes on for 5 days. So
with cocktails and long drinks.
There's been a cocktail or two imbibed in Aura, I can tell you that.
I'm sure
if you miss either one of those, Iron Mountain's having a brew fest in downtown Iron Mountain, and that's what's going on around. It's a kind of a slow weekend, but they're going to be getting it on up there in Hancock, let me tell you.
Did you mention Alpena in that? I think I missed it.
You know what? I missed the Blues Festival. Thank you for keeping track of me. I know Anthony probably pointed out that I had overlooked that doing his job with great perfection as always. Yeah, the Blues Fest in Alpena at Bayview Park. I can suck it up with the best of them.
Probably some beer there too. MichiganBackroads.com. You can check out Ron's got these day trip books and other books about Michigan history and great places to go. You'll enjoy them all. He's got 173 of them, and they're all good.
Yeah,
174 is in the works.
400 road trips on the website now. I think we just went over 400. So
400 road trips.
To do. I believe that's what it is, yeah.
MichiganBackroads.com if you want your festival. If it includes beers and burgers, Ron will definitely highlight it here. MichiganBackroads.com. Watch it on the long drinks, Ron. We'll talk soon.
I will do that. Thank you, Steve. And a special thanks to the production crew. Anthony, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Talk to you guys later.
All right, here's some news from Michigan that happened in the last couple of days. I hadn't mentioned it yet, but it is kind of it's a sad thing. Sad thing. 3 boat companies owned by a French group are shutting down operations. One of those, kind of legendary in Michigan, Four Winds, ceasing operations August 15th, along with Scarab and Glastron. Built in Cadillac, Michigan. It'll affect a few hundred jobs. And it's going to happen in the third quarter, August 15th. They've been losing money for a while. It represents less than 5% of the ownership group. And they say that Group Beneteau, which owns these companies, still has its eyes on the American market. They have other brands, Wellcraft, Delphia, Lagoon, and others. Will continue to keep its 7 strategic performing brands on the market, support their development, better serve the group's distribution network in Europe, the Americas, and Asia. Here's their statement. While this difficult decision is rational, we are aware of what it represents to each member of the Cadillac site team. The teams have demonstrated exemplary commitment. What we owe them today is clarity, respect, and support worthy of what they have given the group. These choices result from a market environment durably affected by a geopolitical context beyond our control. They tried to blame the Iran war for shutting these companies down. I'm sorry, but I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all, but there you go. Four Winds, Glastron, Scarab, those boats will no longer be produced. So if you want one, maybe now's the time to buy a good one at a good price. I don't know, maybe there's a discount. Out the door they go. All right. Now you're up to speed on that. And coming up after the break, I'll have Tim Golding from Americans for Prosperity. More money being dumped into the Renaissance Center. Good money after bad? Well, we'll let Tim say what he thinks after this. You know, it is remarkable to me how many times the politicians come around and sing you the same song, and you know how the song ends. We get big promises, and they're going to do all these great things, and in the end, all we ever get is the bill, it seems to me. All we ever get is the bill for all these promises. It rarely turns out the way we're going to be promised, right? Well, Tim Golding is Americans for Prosperity Michigan State Director. He joins me now, and I'm talking about the RenCen, the Renaissance Center, Tim. More promises. Hey, we're going to do great things. Just give us a few million or a few billion, and hey, all these great things will happen. And yet, I'm sorry, I don't trust it. What are your thoughts?
Well, you're correct in not trusting it. If you look back over the last 20 years, I think less than 10% of the jobs that have been promised through all these corporate subsidies and handouts and tax breaks have actually come to fruition. So Michigan families are not benefiting from it. All they're doing is footing the bill for large corporations who, quite frankly, should be able to stand on their own merits and not get a corporate handout or government handout and be able to build and do what they want without our taxpayers' money doing that. It's robbing from Michigan families who work hard every single day, that we talk to every single day on the streets, and they're tired of it. If a business is going to be successful, they should do it on their own merit, and they should not be relying on government money to lure them to come to our state, where what typically has happened, again, 10% of those jobs that were promised over the last 10, 20 years have come to fruition. They get the money, they walk away, and we're left holding the bag, and that's shameful.
It happens over and over again. You know, I look at the MEDC and I look at Governor Whitmer flying all over the planet in the last few weeks and all these things, you know, on the taxpayer dime. All these great things are going to happen. There was a battery plant here in Lansing. Oh, we spent millions of dollars. Never made a single battery. Not one. I mean, that's just close. And so I know about that one. And I go on down the list. You know, all these other big promises. Oh, we're going to bring in these jobs. And now, the thing that concerns me the most, Tim, two things. Number one, the state taking over complete control of where windmills and solar panels can go. To hell with local ordinances or property owner concerns. They don't care. And second are these data centers. Let's just build those everywhere because that's what people want in their cornfields. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, the data center thing is a big deal. It's you know, there's a lot of data centers all over the country. Northern Virginia has lots and lots of data centers. I think when you look at the need, everybody wants their computer, everybody wants their cell phone, they want to do their AI, they want to store photos, whatever it is use they have, stream audio, video, whatever. You need the capability to do those things. I prefer to have America have the data centers and not China. I think it's a national security risk. However, the local control thing that you mentioned is 100% front and center that needs to be addressed. And I don't think the government should mandate where those things go in any way. And I certainly don't think they should mandate where the solar and wind farms go. That we've been fighting that in our township for years. And not that those things are bad. I mean, our organization wants energy abundance from all sources, right? But don't mandate it and don't have the government pay for it. And when you have those things happen, it always skews the market and things don't work out right. But data centers are a big deal. And we need to figure out collectively across the state how we want to do those things. They can generate income for townships or municipalities, that's for sure. And if they generate their own power and they're not increasing the load on a grid and they provide their own power, they're not costing ratepayers any more money, we need to think of ways to make that happen, actually. In fact,
Let me ask you
I have
this,
a township
though.
meeting.
Here's where I'm confused, along with a lot of other people. 6,000 data centers planned. My phone works fine. My AI works fine.
Yeah.
Everything I have right now works fine. Why do we need 6,000 more? And nobody can answer the question, Tim. Nobody. Why do we need 6,000 more? Oh, we're in a race with China. Heard that argument. We've got to have AI. Heard that argument. Everything that I have, I use ChatGPT. I have pictures on my phone. I have good cell phone service, generally speaking. Right. 6,000? Suspect
I don't
to
know
me.
what the number is. Yeah, I don't know. They pulled that number out of the hat like they pulled out the 6 feet social distancing during that whole COVID debacle, right? That's just probably a made-up number. So I don't know where the 6,000 come from. I know there's a lot of data centers already in the state, but these hyperscale centers, those are the big ones that the people are worried about. Again, there's already data centers in this state, and there's lots of hyperscale data centers across the country. The exact number that we need, I don't know if it's 6,000. I don't know if it's 600, 6 million. I don't know what it is, but it needs to be controlled by the local people, the citizens of this state, or any state for that matter. The government shouldn't mandate it. And there shouldn't be any of these closed door deals. I think some of the stuff that's going on with that data center in Saline and Jocelyn Benson's husband being part of it and all that, it smells fishy. And everything needs to be above board on these because they're a huge impact to every municipality. And if you're not going to be completely honest and transparent and open with these things, then push pause. Let's go back to the drawing table and see what people really want, what they can allow. Where's the best use for these things? We're actually having a meeting in my township. I'm the planning commissioner in our township chair, and we're going to have a meeting on Thursday to talk about this very topic. So let's be thoughtful. Let's not just rush in like they did with Public Act 233, where they just said, "Yep, you're going to get windmills or you're going to get solar fields in your township, whether you like it or not." That's not the right approach. That's
Right,
not
so-
how our founding fathers envisioned our government working.
You touch on something important, which is NDAs. Whether it's Goshen or a data center or the Renaissance Center, I don't care what it is. These politicians, from the local level to the state level to the federal level, should not be signing non-disclosure agreements so they can work in secret. They are elected officials that are there to do the work of the American people at every level of government. And these NDAs I find infuriating, that they go ahead and, we're going to give this much money to this company because it's going to create jobs. Well, what are the details? Well, you're not allowed to see that. Oh, we're going to build this field of solar panels. Well, how's that going to work? Well, you're not allowed to see that. That's wrong.
You're absolutely right. If an elected official signs a non-disclosure that's having an impact in our communities, like some of these things are doing, that should be disqualification for service. They should tender their resignation immediately if they get caught or get fired, whatever you want to call it. Non-disclosures have no place, in my opinion, in public service and in elected officials' offices. If you can't do it all above board and the antiseptic effect of full sunshine on these different deals and keep it clean, keep it neat, be honest and transparent, then you got no business serving people. You got no business getting elected. And that's how I feel. And that's how our organization feels too. Be open, be honest, be transparent. Otherwise, don't do it.
Yeah. All right, so back to the Renaissance Center. I got about a minute here. How much money do they want this time around?
I thought it was 600 million or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but whatever it is, if it's a penny, over at $6 billion, I don't care what it is. It's too much money if I'm paying for it with my hard-earned tax dollars, and it's taken money out of hardworking Michigan families and businesses' pockets. Then I'm not okay with it.
Yeah,
they can figure out a way to do it on their own.
Me and about 10 million taxpayers in Michigan would feel the same way, Tim. Enough of picking our pockets. If you've got a plan, figure it out. You're a private company. You have billions of dollars in income. We don't need to foot the bill for you to come promise us 100 jobs that don't materialize. Tim Golding, I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Really appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of questions about a lot of things. And, I'm not a fan of the data centers. I think that they're nefarious. I think that we're being sold a bill of goods. Oh, we're in a race with China. Better panic. Better build them now. Stop it. No other country is building data centers the way we are. None. So there's something more to it. And we are not being told the whole story. Make no mistake, we are not being told the whole story. And so if you get to digital currency, think about how the data centers would control your digital currency. Put a third party in the middle. Oh, you can't buy a gun. We don't approve. Yeah, think about it. We'll be right back. right, let's just jump right back in. Best part of the program, because there's this ray of sunshine that comes right into the studio. Ivy's here. Hi, Ivy.
Good morning.
Ray of sunshine. How's your coffee supply?
Not quite there yet.
Well, okay. I've had 27 cups. So
Have
I'm
you?
good.
Man.
Maybe
Are you
28.
on fire?
I'm good.
Speaking of ray of sunshine, last night actually I was driving home from a friend's house, and there was the most magnificent rainbow I have ever seen. So it was happening right at sunset, and you know how beautiful the sky can be at sunset. Just these like coral red, beautiful colors. And because there was a storm behind it, it was almost like it was an illuminated. It was the most incredible rainbow I've ever seen.
I know. I saw part of it. Our daughter pulled over, took pictures of it.
Yeah, she took a video.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
cool. I guess I could have given that to Anthony to show you guys. But speaking of the rainbow, have you heard of the Florida AG has launched an investigation into the Major League Baseball after the San Francisco Giants, 3 pitchers wrote on their caps GEN, Genesis 9:12 through 16 on their pride caps. And they have been warned and getting a lot of pushback for doing so. Have you seen that story?
I have seen that. Warned for what?
Well, this is the deal. They say...
Hold on. Warned by whom and for what? Let me ask the
they were
question
warned by the Major League Baseball,
Yeah, you can't do that.
And because, this is what they say. They said the center of the controversy, the MLB's uniform policy, says it prohibits writing of any kind on uniforms and equipment. But the reality is that the Major League, the MLB, puts stuff on their shirts, fields, hats. I mean,
Stuff that these people don't agree with.
Right. Did these 3 pitchers have a choice on whether or not they could wear the pride caps because it's Pride Month?
Well,
no, they didn't have a choice.
I did see some players from other teams that didn't. They just wore the regular caps and refused to wear them at all.
Right. Well, and for those of you that don't know, Genesis 9:12 through 16, it is what the rainbow means as a sign of God's covenant with all living creatures following the flood. Okay, so that's why they wrote that next to the emblem of their, team.
Right, because the pride flag on their hats means something entirely different.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But U.S. Senator Josh Hawley is actually getting into this conversation as well. And I'm going to read you what he says. In a letter to the MLB, Hawley argues that the league has previously allowed and even promoted social and political messaging on the field, including Black Lives Matter, United for Change, and other league-approved slogans. If Major League Baseball is going to permit certain viewpoints and messages, it cannot selectively punish others simply because they express a religious belief. And that's the deal, right? Why is it that Christians always get trampled on for their beliefs, but that we have to adhere to everyone else's beliefs?
Well, it's not just Christians that are in the crosshairs, because I think it's Hamtramck. It's one of the predominantly Muslim communities in southeast Michigan who said, no pride flags in our town. Mm-hmm. And they went crazy, but quietly, because it didn't get put on the CBS News or CNN or New York Times. But they said, no, we're not allowing pride flags in our city, because the Muslim religion is very opposed to the LGBTQ agenda, right?
Right. And the reality is, for me, shouldn't Americans be able to express, their faith without being singled out?
Well, yes and no. And let me go back to the Major League Baseball thing. If you work for UPS, here's your uniform. You don't get to draw on your uniform. Here's your job in the United States military. Mm-hmm. Here's your uniform. You don't get to write things on your uniform.
That's fair.
If you work for a public or private entity and they hand you a uniform, and this is the uniform you're expected to wear, and you alter or deface, if you will, that uniform, I think you get in trouble in a lot of places. I think the guys that put it on their hats, they probably have enough coin to pay the fine, and they don't care, because they're making a statement that will not affect them dramatically financially, so they're going to go ahead and do it. And I applaud them for doing it. It takes courage.
I agree. I just think that it's nonsense that they were said, hey, you guys need to wear these hats, but they couldn't, do any anyway. I don't know.
No,
I think it's
I
wrong,
get your
in my
point.
opinion.
I
It's
get
like
your point.
ridiculous.
I get your
And
point.
it's the same in the NBA as well.
Oh, they do
Probably
all this stuff
worse.
too, yeah. And a lot of the NBA players won't do it either. Yeah, you know that. My pride flag is an American flag. I'll just be that clear about it. And look, we have friends that are gay. They hate all the transgender stuff. They tell us
Right.
they can't. They said this is not what we fought for. This is
Right.
not why we marched. We marched so that we could marry who we wanted to marry. Basically, that's the
Right.
bottom line,
And
right?
listen, the deal is, I think you and I are both live and let live. If you want to live that lifestyle, that's on you. Go for it.
Right.
We're not saying you shouldn't do that if that's what you want to do. I just don't think it's, jamming it down everyone's throat. It's like, can we just watch
Stop. Yeah.
entertainment or baseball or football or basketball without, some, socialist or some belief or some woke agenda being shoved down our throat? Like, can we put that aside?
Well, right.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong about that. And sports has always been a place where you should be able to separate politics. The Democrat, the Republican, the Independent, they all like the football team or the baseball team. Let them
Right.
just do
Let's
that
come
without
together and enjoy a sport.
right, without putting some political or whatever twist on it. Leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I could hate you for being an Ohio State fan. That's my privilege. But just during the game, and then we're friends again at the end of the game, right?
Exactly. Arch rivals during the game, and then
Right.
afterwards you can shake each other's hand.
Yeah.
I guess depending on who wins or loses.
Yeah. It's a good conversation people are having, Ivy, and that's a fact.
Right.
And it's one worth having here.
That's right.
Love you.
Love you.
Final thoughts on this day, this Wednesday after this. Yes, it's true. Some places have gas under $3 now. I mean, when the average in Indiana is $3.35, you'll find a station here and there that are below $3. Also true in places like Oklahoma and Kansas. Not everywhere yet, but gas is on the right track. The national average today sits at $4.02, but more than half of the country is under $4, and a few places now popping up with gas under $3 for the first time since the first part of the year. Pretty important, right? Pretty important stuff. So that's pretty interesting. And maybe they're gas wars, maybe they're whatever. But the long-term effect is this. Oil is in the mid-70s now. Back only a few dollars higher than it was when this all started in late February. So relief is on the way as long as this holds. As long as this holds, we're in good shape. But in Europe, you know, the land of windmills, solar panels, and fairy dust, they're going to continue to pay high prices for everything because they're idiots. I mean, just call it for what it is. They want EVs. They want to control everything you do there. They want 15-minute cities. You're going to pay through the nose for your fuel, for your energy. They like it that way because they can control you more. I mean, one of the things I saw from these soccer fans, one of them in an Airbnb, playing with a thermostat, turning it down to 60 degrees, something they're not allowed to do in Europe. Did you know that air conditioning isn't even legal in Switzerland unless you have a doctor's permit? Can't even get air conditioning unless you have a note from your doctor that you need air conditioning. One of my children was there a year or two ago. It was over 100 degrees in Geneva that week and no air conditioning. Lovely. That's why America is the greatest place on earth. Air conditioning, heat, giant slices of pizza, and free refills with ice. Fight the good fight, keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gerber. This is Daybreak, and remember, only you can save America.